This adventure is brought to you by our friends at Cryptid, a monthly subscription box filled with cryptozoological and paranormal curiosities. Visit their website at cryptidcrate.com and use discount code SATURDAY for $10 off your first monthly subscription and 10% off any non-subscription purchase for your first order. Hi, I'm Anna, and this week's Saturday adventure needs to be on a Sunday. We're going to Machpelah Jewish Cemetery in the Queens neighborhood of Glendale. I've lived in Queens for years and had no idea that the world's greatest skeptic was buried down the street from me. Harry Houdini was famous for many things, but what I like most is that Houdini stuck it to the frauds and called out the hoaxes where he saw them. At the same time, Houdini's belief in the paranormal was so strong that he worked out a coded message with his wife Bess to contact each other after the first had passed away. Houdini was accidentally killed on Halloween in 1926. Bess marked the anniversary for years with a seance at his grave. Sadly, despite having her name carved beside him in the family plot, Bess Houdini was not Jewish, and her internment was opposed by both Machpelah Cemetery and her own Roman Catholic Church. Even in death, Harry Houdini has continued to be a source of controversy. The plot is lavishly decorated with carved benches and a stark white exedra topped with a bust of Houdini. All of these things are looked down upon in a Jewish cemetery, and the graven image of Houdini himself is strictly forbidden. The bust was placed in 1927 along with the seal from the Society of American Magicians, of which Houdini was president until his death. Amazingly, despite all the vandalism that was to come, the original society seal remains undamaged. The broken wand ceremony, observed at the funerals of magicians and illusionists, originated when Houdini's wand was broken over his grave to symbolize that without the magician, the wand has no magic. That is a fitting metaphor for such a prolific debunker. The Society of American Magicians holds this ceremony each year, but no longer on Halloween, as the crowds were becoming too large. I was very disappointed to learn that I missed Dorothy Dietrich become the first woman to perform the ceremony in 2018. Machpelah Cemetery is a run-down, unhappy place. There is little maintenance, even to the graves marked perpetual upkeep, and the cemetery cites a lack of funds for the lack of services. It has been called the spookiest cemetery in New York City. The controversial Houdini plot has been a frequent target of vandalism. 2 monuments are missing from the plot, supposedly smashed by vandals, though the Houdini family claims the stones were sold to collectors. The original Houdini bust that was placed over his grave was kept at the Houdini Museum of New York until it closed in 2020. The bust that replaced it was smashed with a sledgehammer in 1975. It was replaced, but the replacement was stolen in 1983. The Society of American Magicians has refused to pay for upkeep on the gravesite at least as far back as 1988, claiming that no upkeep has been done up until that point. Harry Houdini is famous for paying for the upkeep on the graves of past magicians, and it is fellow magicians who have stepped up for him with guerrilla restoration tactics. In 1993, the stone benches were smashed, but they were rebuilt by magicians in 1996. Several copies of the bust were placed on the exedra for the annual Broken Wand ceremonies, but these were stolen or smashed. The 1979 replacement bust was recovered in 2003, but it was not returned to the grave. In 2011, a rogue sect of magicians hatched a plot to fully restore the gravesite. This included drilling and cementing a new bust without the consent of the cemetery. Not long after, the Society of American Magicians officially assumed control of all restoration on the gravesite, but McCullough Cemetery still retains control of the plot. At least for now, Harry Houdini's sharp eyes look out over Queens again. I love the phrase rebuilt by magicians. It sounds so great. Practicing my cemetery words.